This episode of The Sportsman's Empire is brought to you by Interstate Batteries. Since 1952, Interstate Batteries has been evoking compassion and a trustworthy spirit into the surrounding communities. Interstate Batteries is a mission-driven company fueled by purpose and guided by their values. If you need help locating a specific battery, stop into your local Interstate Batteries retail store and speak with a battery specialist. They even offer cell phone repairs. Interstate Batteries. Outrageously dependable. All right, everybody. This is the Man Therapy Podcast. My name's Dan. His name's Kyle. And we're going to change your life today. Maybe not.
You're welcome ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. You're welcome. But, dude, it's been a minute. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks or something like that since we've been on, between my knee surgery and between your work schedule. We just kind of have not connected over the last couple weeks. And I'm glad that we finally have gotten to a point where hopefully we can get back on a consistent schedule again.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Kyle, how has the last month been for you?
Very stressful. It's been one of the most stressful times I've had in a long time because I'm getting audited at work. And that's like, I'm a counselor, and I am in private practice on my own. And I work with insurance companies, and they can audit you whenever they want. And they do. And that's fine. That's all fine. It's just when they do, it's very stressful because it kind of depends on how stressful it is, depends on how stressful they want to make it. And if they're like in a good mood, they'll audit you, and if they find mistakes, they'll say, "Oh, here, you could do this better, like work on this, and then we'll touch base in another 6 months or something."
Yeah.
Or they can say, "Oh, we found a small mistake. We're going to claw back a bunch of money." So it's called a clawback, when they basically say, "Hey, the money that we've already paid you for these sessions, we're just going to take it back." And then you just owe them. And, it could be a few $1,000s, could be a couple $100,000. You don't know. And it's up to it's up to whatever their bottom line is telling them they have to do. So I'm getting audited, and I don't know yet exactly how bad it's going to be.
So how do they even know? Like, is this all they do is look through old documentation saying, okay, well, we think as an insurance company that this professional, experienced, educated counselor did something wrong or told this client something wrong, and we don't feel we should have to pay him?
Yeah, it's more like, hey, we reviewed your documentation, and we don't think that what you did warrants the money that we paid you. Or they can say, hey, there's like some like specific way we want things done, and you didn't do it exactly like that. And so, so we're going to claw money back. And so, like I said, sometimes they're not in a bad mood, and they just are like, oh, hey, fix this and that. It's like, oh, we prefer this format, or, oh, we want this worded like this, or whatever. And then you say, okay, and you fix it. But if they're not in a good mood, they can say, hey, this wasn't in the format that we wanted it to be in. We're just going to claw the money back. Yeah. Or if they think that your charts are like not in good shape, like, so basically they requested 9 specific client notes, like dates of service, to prove that I can justify what I charged them, what I charged the insurance company, which is good. I'm fine with all that. I'm fine with having to do things a certain way and having to show that I provided a service that requires the billing that I charged. Like I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
What's scary is if they decide that they want to be super nitpicky, then they can find a problem with anything. I mean, they can go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, and like, I don't think anybody's records are perfect. And so we'll see. So I'm gonna, I've just been like making sure all my charts look really good, and I'm sending them in, and then I'll just wait for months to see if they come back. And it's like so these 9 sessions, my easy worst case scenario is that I lose out on like $1,500. They're just like, we're just not going to pay you for those. And then my worst case scenario is they look at my charts and they're like, oh, this doesn't look good. We're going to do a gigantic audit, and we're going to go through all of your clients, and then we're going to request all the money back that we've ever paid you, and then I'll have to file bankruptcy. So that's what's, and that's definitely my anxiety and me jumping to conclusions.
Yeah.
I mean, that could happen, but I think the odds of that happening are extremely low.
Yeah.
But I also know that
it happens.
It does happen, and it's scary. And a thing that I've done since I started private practice that I need to stop doing is I'm on all these like Facebook groups of therapists, and all they do is like everybody dumps all of their worst case scenarios. So it's like all these therapists from across the whole country, and they'll be like, oh, this insurance company is doing this to me right now. And then I'm like, oh God. And then somebody else will be like, oh, this insurance company is doing this to me. And I'm like, oh God. And like none of those insurance companies are necessarily even companies that I work with, but just I do know that any company can do that stuff at any time. So it's just been extremely nerve-wracking for me.
Yeah, man. In theory, insurance companies sound great, right? Like for, that issue that my wife had with her stint in the intensive care unit, and then me with my knee surgery, right? It like paying that out of pocket would have been crippling financially, right? But then as a business owner, having to like worry about, like, I just feel like that is something that should be addressed at the very beginning, or there's stipulations on not the person providing the service per se, but like the person who is using the insurance. Like it should be, hey, listen, we need an insurance. Like you should be approved or not approved by the insurance company. And then your client goes, okay, well, I can or I cannot use you. If I'm going to use you, it's going to be out of pocket. Right. So that's how it should be. But and then they feel like they have the right to come in and tell you what you did wrong as a professional. Like to me, just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Oh yeah. I mean, I get it. It's a double-edged sword. Like if you think about, like if you go to a doctor at in a walk-in clinic, and if that doctor gets paid more for the more he does for you, and he's like, oh, hey, I think you need this test. And, oh, we'd better test for this. Mm-hmm. And maybe you don't really need that, but he's going to make a lot more money for every test he gives you. Then the insurance company might flag that, or in just a random audit say, hey, we're going to audit all your documentation. And then they'll look at that and be like, whoa, so Dan came in with like a sore throat and you tested him for rheumatoid arthritis? Like we shouldn't have had to pay you for that.
Yeah.
So like it's to keep providers honest. It's just really, really stressful for honest providers to have to go through that process. Yeah. And I probably shouldn't be as stressed as I am. It's just a scary thing. Like I know that my documentation's fine. I know it's going to hold up. I also know that like if they are really motivated, they could find a problem
with whatever they want.
Yeah. So we'll see. I hope that it doesn't turn into anything big. It's funny because like I've said, my brain has gone to worst case scenario. I'm like, well, if they claw back $300,000, then I'll just declare bankruptcy and I'll go get a job doing landscaping and snow removal, driving a cement truck or whatever. I'll just do whatever I have to do.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Well, luckily that's one thing I have going for me is my OnlyFans is already booming. I've got good feet.
You got great feet, dude. Yeah. Feetfinder.com, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's funny because everybody thinks guys can't do feet, but you just don't tell anybody you're a guy.
That's
got
the
all
secret.
These guys looking at my nice feet thinking they're ladies' feet.
Dude.
I just don't put anything in the screen for scale. They can't tell it's a couple of size 13s. Shave your toes,
Man, I look at my feet right now and I go, dude, those are dude feet. Like there's no way people could mistake my feet for women's feet. Like that's dude feet right there. Hair on the toes and on the top of the foot and all that shit. Yeah.
Yep.
Other than being audited by an insurance company, what else you got going on?
Yeah. So I really like that question because it helps me zoom out. And that's a thing I've been trying to do because it's been so stressful. other than that, everything else is really pretty fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
kids are doing great and wife's happy. My wife went to, the Florida Keys to watch my stepdaughter perform. She's a country music singer and she's
Yep.
doing big things. And so she was in a songwriters festival down there. So my wife got to take a trip with her sisters, which she's never done before. So
Yeah.
she's got two half sisters and a full sister, and like those four have never done anything together. So that was really, really neat for her to be able to do that. That was over her birthday too. So I'm just really happy for her to get a really cool trip like that, because
Yeah.
she's usually pretty stressed out. So it's neat that she got to do something fun.
Well, that's awesome, dude. One
Yeah.
thing, like, I'm going to be real with you here for a second. Okay. And I please don't take this the wrong way, but how old is your stepdaughter?
22.
22. Okay. So your stepdaughter has extreme talent, right? She's really good.
Yeah.
But that's paired with also being very attractive, right? So whether you can comment as a stepdad on that or not, right? You do it. Yeah, she's pretty. Do you or your wife ever worry about her being taken advantage of by the quote unquote industry, like using her and then like pushing her to the side and shit like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that's always on our minds.
Yeah.
I would guess that's always on any parent's mind. You know, you hear bad stories about people being taken advantage of and being put in compromising situations and shitty power dynamics and stuff. Yeah, that's always scary for sure. I'm sure my wife worries about it more than I do, but I definitely worry about it too.
Yeah. Did
you
you guys
go ahead.
I was just going to ask, did you guys, when she started this journey, did you guys give her any type of like warnings or like sit her down and just be like, hey, listen, we are so happy for you, but here's some things you need to kind of watch out for?
Yeah, I think my wife tried to. My stepdaughter is very strong-willed and very hard-headed, and she doesn't like to be told things. She likes to figure things out for herself. So my wife just tries to mom, and then it's up to her daughter to how much she accepts that.
Yep. Sounds like a 20-year-old.
Oh yeah, big time. So, you know, she is really strong. Like, things I like about her, she is really strong. She is really feisty. You know, that's not to say that it wouldn't be a lot of pressure in a scary situation, because I know that that's what shitbags do, is like put people under pressure to try to manipulate them. So I don't think she's that easily manipulated, which is really good for her. A thing that my wife has done on purpose that I really respect is she's tried really hard to kind of get to know the people that her daughter's working with. And she's shown up to recording sessions, and she's met all the people, and so she's trying to have relationships with people and kind of suss out who feels safe and who doesn't, things like that. And I think generally speaking, she feels like everybody's safe, and you know, I mean, you never know, obviously. And then also she travels to do these shows and stuff, and yeah, it's scary. I think it's a risk that you just kind of have to be aware of, and then hope to God something bad doesn't happen. But yeah, that's definitely been on our minds.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, man, it's like, I am very blunt, especially with my daughter, right? With, you know, you have to parent different between boys and girls.
Yeah.
But my daughter is 13 now. She's a teenager, right? She's growing up physically and mentally, right? And she is also, from a mental capacity, aware of things now that, you know, younger people just aren't, right? And it's a whole bunch of like people's body language and people's emotions and people like things that aren't necessarily like, I am mad or I am angry, right? You can look at a person and kind of judge based off of their movements and stuff. She's aware of that stuff right now. And man, I don't know why I feel like I have to do it this way, but with her, I am just extremely blunt with her. Like, for example, like when it comes to boys, like she's a teenager now, right? So I have to tell her, like, you know, like, and this is how I was when I was a boy, roughly her age or older. And I'm just like, straight up, dude, like, man, you have no idea about any of these boys because their head is so clouded with physical attraction and wanting to touch you and wanting to, like get in your pants, that, oh, dad, don't talk like that. That's gross. I'm like, that's the truth because I was like that.
Yeah.
Right. And so and I just be very blunt. And then you just, after that, you tell them the truth. And then you hope that your parenting up until this point has kind of has stuck and you've done the right things and you've said the right things. And so it's, like parenting. I've never realized it until like very recently that there's a leap of faith that has to happen. And you're like, at some point you give them a little bit longer of a leash, give them a little bit more responsibility and you see what happens. If they mess it up, yank them back in. If, they do good and they prove themselves, you give them a little bit more rope and a little bit more rope. So I don't know.
I totally agree. I like your philosophy a lot. I really like the idea of the father, both parents were but we're dads. So the father being like really straightforward and direct with their kids. Cause like that's a benefit of having a father in the home is being able to share that perspective directly and in a real way. And I decided a long time ago, like I want to educate my kids before some other dumbass 13 does.
100%
does.
100%.
I don't want some. So my daughter's 9, almost 10. I don't want some dipshit 10-year-old boy telling my daughter something that's not true.
Exactly. Yeah, dude.
So I'm gonna tell her.
Yeah, it's scary out there, dude. Especially in this world with social media and AI now. Like, of course, you were talking about worst case scenarios. You watching a podcast or watching some documentary about how AI now can put your kid's face on another kid's body in a porno movie, in a like a underage porno movie, and they can do that now. It's just like, what is going on? Like, it's crazy. So you got to be so careful and like parents these days, if you're not prepared to understand like technology and social media, and like still to this day, my daughter she only has like a simplified version of Snapchat. Other than that, no Facebook, no TikTok, no Instagram. It's a no for us right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's crazy. And I'm ranting right now.
Yeah, that's what it's Facebook for.
It's crazy right now to watch my daughter in a space with other girls her age who do not have social media restrictions put on them. And my daughter wants to be communicative to them, but they are so addicted to their phones. They are just like, any time frame that goes by, it's just a whoop. They get into the truck with us. It's like, boom, it's right to the face.
Yeah.
And they don't talk. They don't communicate. And then my daughter comes home and she asks, hey, can I have this? And I have this. I go, no. And here's why. Because look at what your other friends do. My daughter comes home and she's like, God, I was bored with that friend or another friend or something like that, because all they did was sit on their phone and I wanted to do something. And now look at that. And I go, you want to do that? You want to have social media so you can then like disappear and and zone out just like what they're doing? No, absolutely not.
Right. Yep. That's where we have to be the bad guys.
Yeah.
In that way. Like I've always said kids know what they want, not what they need.
Yeah.
And like, that's our job as a parent, to know what they need and have to be like, well, I guess I'm going to be the wall that you bump up against. And I'm okay with you being mad at me.
Yeah.
Go ahead and be mad at me. I know this is for your best interests.
Yeah.
That's I respect you for it.
Let's see. Other than that, the baseball, it's baseball season, right?
Yeah.
So, and you have to travel a lot to get to your practices, right?
Yeah. It's a longer drive now. And I feel really, so we kind of messed up or scheduling ended up being not ideal, such that my son's in soccer and baseball at the same time. And before they started, it was looking like it was going to be fine. And it's ended up that they're both on the same nights. So they're both on Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. So it's like, oh, dang it. Yeah. So he I mean, he vastly prefers soccer over baseball, and soccer's like 10 minutes from home, and baseball's like a half hour from home. And
Yeah.
baseball starts so early. So he has not been going to baseball practice. He's been going to soccer practice, and he works his butt off. So like, it's cool. And then whenever there's a baseball game, we will prioritize the game over like soccer practice or whatever.
Mhm.
So he'll go to the games. And the coaches are awesome. I talked to the coaches that, hey, like, I didn't anticipate the schedule was going to fall like this. I feel really bad that we're not coming to practices. I totally believe we should be. I said, do whatever you have to do as a coach. Like, obviously, I would never expect him to be in a position over a kid on the team that comes to every practice and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
go ahead and put him at the back of the lineup, put him in right field, like all the things. Like, I'm not going to be the parent that thinks my kid should show up and start at shortstop. Like, I said, you do whatever's good for the kids. No problem. And the coach is like super freaking cool. I have a ton of respect for him. I'm happy that my son gets to play with him, but it goes against my values to not be going to practice. I just don't. I'm not happy how that worked out. But he is going to soccer practice, and he loves it, and he's working his butt off. And I really like the coaches there, and he's got he's. I always like hold myself back a little bit when I talk about him, because I don't want to feel like I do feel like I'm bragging, and he's a second grader, so it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
But I'll just be super open with my thoughts. Like, my son's pretty fast, pretty athletic, and so he's a second grader, so whatever that means for a second grader. But what it really does mean is that he can just use his athleticism to not have to have good skills. And so, like, what that looks like in soccer is he can just boot the ball way downfield and then just outrun everybody to it and score.
Yeah.
And he just gets away with that.
Yeah.
And so being in like too like recreational of a league, like, people get really annoyed with him, because like they don't like when he just scores over and over and over. Like, people get irritated with him for that. And so we're like, all right, I'm going to stop putting him in the recreational stuff. We'll put him in more competitive stuff so that won't happen. And he's finally in a place where I think he's more athletic than most of the kids. There's some other kids there that are really athletic too, which is super good. But these kids have been like really training soccer for like a couple, 2-3 years already. So their skills are way above his. And he's finally challenging him to have to put in the work to focus on skills instead of, because he wouldn't listen to anything I said. If I tried to teach him any skills, he's like, whatever, I can just kick the ball way ahead and go score. And now he can't do that. And I'm loving it.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to like watch him actually be challenged and grow.
Yeah. We know that from being coaches ourselves, and obviously parents, that if you give these kids free rides and, you put them in stuff that's so easy, then they get burnt out. Like, then you do that for too long, then they hit conflict or go up against a team that's better then they want to quit. Like, I don't want to do this anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
winning.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's good, because he's going to come out of that, hopefully, a better player, a better teammate, and things like that. Yeah. That's awesome.
He's stepping up. I appreciate it, because it's been hard to like find a place for him with stuff like that. When we play, like our town has a wonderful youth sports program. It's awesome. I have so much respect for it. The people that run it, phenomenal. It's great all the way around. And also, this just happened a bunch of times that he just scores, like, whether he's playing basketball and scores all the time, soccer scores all the time, flag football scores all the time. Like, people get annoyed with him.
Yeah.
And I can see it. I've seen other parents be annoyed with him, and I don't like that. It feels yucky, because he's just playing his hardest.
Yep.
So it's good to have him in a higher level thing that he's challenged.
But that's also a coaching thing, right? You let a kid like that go out and do what he does, and then you pull him back into like a defensive position or a goalie. It's like, all right, now don't let anybody score. You scored four goals. Now it's your turn to not let anybody score, or you take him out a little bit or whatever. Like, dude, I get that, especially in small town youth environments where you have kids that are out there like your boy, who looks like a gazelle running, and then you got other kids who are basically the same age, just learning how to walk. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh
holy
yeah,
cow.
for
Yeah.
sure. Which is
Yeah.
why, I have to hold myself back. 'Cause I know he's only in second grade. And I
Yeah.
also know from just experience that some of those kids that look like they're just learning to walk in second grade, they might end up being studs in high school.
Oh yeah.
I tell them all the time, like, dude, just because you're really good right now and kind of naturally better than them doesn't mean that you're going to be better than them in high school. Like,
Right.
they're all going to end up maturing and growing and stuff too. And if they've been working hard because they weren't naturally as good, so they've got a bunch of skills and then they level up with their development,
Yeah.
but you just had good development but didn't have any skills, they're going to end up being better than you.
Right. Right. I'll tell you this, puberty, and this is the thing about youth sports, puberty is the great definer of all of this. Like, you could grow 6 inches in a year and gain 100 pounds or whatever, dude, like, so many things are coming for, our children yet.
Oh, yeah.
Ava's kind of probably to the point where she's reached her height max, maybe another inch or so, but
Yeah.
that's where she's at. Knox and, my younger 2 kids, who knows, your kid. I mean, didn't you say like your boy's like on pace to be like 6'4" or something like that?
Yeah, 6'4", 6'5" is what the doctor says. Whatever, we'll see. His brother's tall. My older brother's tall. We'll see.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Here's something to talk about as far as like coaching and being a dad, right? So my oldest boy, I had coached every single football snap, every single pitch, every single at bat, every sport he's ever been in, and I've been the coach on those teams.
Mm-hmm.
And this past fall, he joined a different team, baseball team, and it was the first time I didn't coach him. Okay. Yeah. And I'll be honest, it was hard for me to not be his coach.
Oh yeah.
And the reason it was hard for me, I feel like, is because, I felt like he needed additional attention because of his mind not being like mature yet. Like, he just seemed to be developing physically, maybe not physically, but definitely mentally slower than other people, which means like his grasp of baseball or the game just did not catch up to him.
Right.
And then me really being worried about that. Like, oh dude, he's on a team. I'm not there to just like micromanage his moves and shit like that. And I will say this, that as far as he's concerned, he has come up and has done a spectacular job at being it. And I think part of that is me not being his coach.
Yeah.
And so, although initially it was hard, I think for him, he's just going to be a better baseball. I'll just use baseball because that's his favorite sport. Baseball player without me, and just being a dad who cheers for him, other than telling him what he should and shouldn't do. Like, I still am going to take him to the batting cage. I'm still going to hit grounders to him and pop flies and catch him when he pitches, like to prepare for the games. But like, outside of that, it was hard at first, but you get to see it, and then you're like, okay, that was the right move.
Yeah. I like that. That's a mature way to look at it.
Yeah.
That you don't have to micromanage, and it's also good for them to learn from someone else. Also, it's sometimes they give themselves permission to be freer,
relax,
and relax more when dad's not around, and try things they wouldn't try, and they're less. It's not taking up any headspace thinking that dad's watching and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just a fan from the stands, dude, and it's pretty cool. I still coach my youngest son's team, and that's fine. It's a whole new, like, it's funny. Going from 11U baseball right back down to 8U baseball has been a challenge for me because there's the joking around. Nobody takes anything serious. A lot of touching, a lot of dirt throwing, a lot of like all of that shit. And I'm just like, I'm having to breathe and just ignore all of it. And just dude, okay.
I know. Isn't it funny? The dugout is like a freaking monkey exhibit at the zoo.
Oh yeah.
Almost literally. I mean, they are just climbing and
just
gooping up.
It's nuts, dude. And so
They're not even watching the game. It's like,
No.
how are you guys not watching the game? They're just
Nope.
not. They're screwing off.
Nope. And then you're trying to tell them something like, like they're sad that they struck out, but three of their swings were at balls that were literally 2 feet above their head. And you're crying like, hey buddy, I get it, but maybe we shouldn't swing at balls that could hit airplanes, like let's,
oh my God, I know,
so
it's so funny.
But I'm glad I went through that already because it's made me just not care, to be honest with you. And I'm just there to make sure kids have their bats and helmets, like, like walking to the plate with their helmet on, like that's a win,
Yeah.
So
Amen. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I drove myself too crazy, like taking on the role of the dugout dad when I was coaching when my son was, it was two seasons ago, and they were all just being monkeys. I'm like, guys, come on, focus, cheer your teammates on. And I was like walking upriver. Like, I was the current, dude. Like, and I should have just been like, yep, you got your helmet, you got your bat, you're set. Obviously they shouldn't be yelling or be destructive, but like, no, I learned an important lesson there too, that just, I could redirect all I wanted to, and it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
They just need to have a bunch of fun.
Yep. So there's that, right?
Yeah.
Any other milestones or?
Well, I'm interested to hear about your daughter's wrestling.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you this. So back in March, we've already talked about this. She won the folk style state championship at her weight. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now she this past weekend, she wrestled in freestyle. So for those of you who don't know anything about wrestling, there's different styles of it. There's folk style, which is what they wrestle in high school and college. And then there's freestyle, which girls wrestle in college. And then that's also like the international Olympic style. And then Greco, which is also international. So anyway, there's 3 different styles. My daughter didn't participate in Greco. However, there was her and another girl at the same weight, and she had to, we went to the freestyle state championship, and she had to wrestle this one girl who has beat her in folk style 2 times this year, previously this year. Then Ava beat her the 3rd time in folk style. And then she ends up, having to wrestle this girl 2 more times in freestyle. So, and I will admit, my daughter is very new to this freestyle style of wrestling, but she won both matches. And so because of that, she became a state champion again in freestyle wrestling. And so that's kind of cool, but it's one of those things where she's not too hyped about it because she's like, dude, I only wrestled one person. There was only one person in my bracket versus folk style, which is like, I think there was 22 or 4 or something like that in her bracket that she had to go through in order to be a state champion. So she's like, yeah, it's cool. I got the medal, but I was also there for like 45 minutes and then I had to leave. Right. So
well, it sounds like this girl that she wrestled is tough though.
Yeah. I mean, she put up a good fight. Right. My daughter just has, a couple things that she's better at than that particular girl. And that girl is a hammer at times. Like she's great on bottom, but, folk style exposes some of that because of the change of the style and the rules and how it, once you're on bottom, you can't try and stand up and escape. You have to let the person try to turn you. You can defend by putting your hands out, but you can't like try to stand up. Right.
Wow.
So it's a unique style and a different style. And my daughter's still learning that. And she's got a tournament. I'll tell you this, wrestling is an awesome sport, but there's a complexity to it. And that complexity is the weight. All right. Especially so she had to cut 5 pounds in roughly 5 days. And that was difficult for her. And we did it. We had to do it at folk style state, but we did it over a longer period of time, almost like a 2-week period versus, like a 5-day period.
Yeah.
And she cut a lot of weight real fast and it made her tired.
Oh yeah.
And she struggled in those 2 matches. luckily she had good technique, because the technique helped her win. But she's like, dude, I don't want to cut weight anymore because of, and I agree. At some point you got to let a kid wrestle at their natural
Yeah.
weight. However, natural weights don't always add up to weight classes or brackets.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that has to be defined or whatever. So the issue becomes is my daughter promised a dual team, that she was going to have to, like, hey, can you make this weight for this tournament? And my daughter was like, yes, I want to do it. Now she has to cut weight again after the struggle of cutting weight. So we are in a period where she's roughly 3 pounds over what she needs to weigh before next weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't think she'll have an issue really getting to it, but it's still, it's still having to do something. And I've seen it, like girls at some of these weigh-ins for wrestling just looking anorexic. They just look like their parents are almost starving them. I've heard stories of kids who are now have to be on human growth hormones because they've starved their kids as they're growing. And then their body says, well, I guess I'm not growing anymore. And now they become the one percentile of all kids because their parents have held them back and made them stay at a certain weight. And now these kids are like you can see they're 50 pounds in fourth grade. I mean, come on, dude. Like it's crazy. It's almost borderline child abuse, which some of it actually is.
Yeah.
And so then, I don't know. And so it scares me, and it definitely scares my wife, right? Because women have this, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but when it comes to weight, right? They look at a scale and they don't look at, like, for example, my wife, like physically fit, ripped, muscle. Yeah. But then she's like, oh no, I weigh too much, or I look thick. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like you are a 1%er and you're complaining about this. So for women, it's different, right? Yeah. And so we're trying to figure out how to balance that at this moment with a growing girl and not doing it. Cause I mean, at that age, there's a lot of girls who are cutting weight and then they lose their periods, which is unnatural. Right. So it's just learning and trying to balance it and doing what is right for the girl and for the person, for the individual, and then moving forward.
Yeah, I wonder what the science says around that, like how much is okay to cut.
Yeah, and it's always being looked at, and it's always being, so the state of Iowa is really good at a certain amount of time before the season starts, you have to weigh in. And then they do a body fat test too. So the body fat test with how much you weigh they put it into some equation, and it says you can weigh this much, like you can cut this much weight. And so they're able to do that. Sometimes it's good for kids. Everybody's body's different. Some kids can lose weight and gain weight real fast. Others cannot. So at least it's somewhat monitored.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Yeah. Wrestling is a very unique sport.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah.
Other sports, like physique is important. And is scrutinized, but not as often, like by actual weight.
Oh yeah.
Like I think a person could be scrutinized as a swimmer. You can be scrutinized as a gymnast or as a dancer. Like if your body doesn't conform to certain standards, but it's not literally regulated by weight.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know. It's something that we have to deal with. It's the sport she loves, and so we try to balance it. We try to, we have to take what she says into consideration, and then we also have to say, okay, well, you did make a promise at this weight to this team, so we have to get you there in the healthiest route possible. And that's through exercise and healthy eating. So, Yep.
Fair.
So other than that, that's it. As far as sports are concerned, we do have I'll bring this up. My wife and I on Monday will hit 365 days of no alcohol. And so it is now thinking about going that long without alcohol. I can even remember like a handful of months ago, like just seeing someone drinking a cold frosty mug beer and being like, dude, that looks really good right now. But then having the foresight to look at it and go, I don't just drink one of those.
Yeah. Right.
I drink 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah.
And then I stop at the store on the way home and I pick up a bottle of bourbon.
Yeah.
And then at night, I drink 2 glasses of bourbon. And so instead of that one beer that I say to myself, oh, dude, I'll just drink one beer. One more won't hurt. I have the foresight now to just kind of tell the future on myself and just be like, dude, it's one beer. It's just one beer at a time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not one beer a day and things like that. So,
beer.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what I was doing for the longest period of time. And I will say this, dude, I think I sleep better.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have less inflammation in my body.
Yep.
I think that, I'm a better parent because, despite my knee surgery right now, I'm pretty laid up. I can still play catch, but I'm not as mobile as what I used to be, as of right now, but that'll eventually go away as I start to heal. But back when I was even having one beer, I'd sit on the couch and drink one beer and my kids would be like, hey dad, let's go play catch. I'm like, oh, I'm tired. Don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Just something as simple as that.
Yeah.
And now I don't have that excuse to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so I am really looking forward to, seeing what the conversation is like between me and my wife of what alcohol and what role it plays in our life after this 1 year of sobriety of no alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And so, yeah.
Did you guys say you were only going to go a year and then reassess, or did you just say, hey, we're done? And now it's like now a year's coming up. And so that's just,
I don't know. I don't know if that conversation ever happened, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was just like, I need to do it. I want to support my wife because she wants to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know what's going to happen after this. There's a big part of me that hopes we just stay on the train. Right.
Yeah.
And we just keep going because I think this is what's possibly best for us, mentally and physically. So, it's crazy how it's, and my wife went through a stage where she was listening to a lot of sobriety podcasts and they were talking about all the different things of, like alcoholics. And don't get me wrong, we were drinking a lot, but some of what these people were doing blows my mind. Like, you were hammered drunk at the bus stop with your kids and then you went to Target and you rear-ended a semi truck. Like you were and then you were started taking pills and all this shit and it just got way out of hand and drinking rubbing alcohol and I'm like, holy shit. We never got that bad, right? We weren't drinking rubbing alcohol martinis or any shit or anything like that. Right. But you start to hear people like that. And then you're like, dude, we're not that far from that though. You know what I mean? And so I think it's good for us to stay on the course that we're at. And maybe you just kind of go year by year or whatever the case is. And you say to yourself, well, I am healthier now and I'm living a better life and alcohol doesn't have that grasp on me that it used to. And so but it's crazy, like listening to those podcasts and going out in social scenarios now where I can remember one of the first big events that I went to was a fireworks party on the 4th of July. And we were drinking non-alcoholic beers. Yeah. And I bet you I drank 10 non-alcoholic beers that night.
Yeah.
Just because I needed something in my hand to hold.
Oh yeah.
While I was there. And, I felt the sodium the next day, the amount of sodium that was in it. Yeah. But then as you start to go into these other events, the longer you get into it, it's like the only reason people drink is because they need to hold something Or like I even went through a period where I was just holding and drinking water and just like overhydrating myself and like drinking 8 cups of water just because I need it. And now I don't even need to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So it's crazy. I don't know. It's just a unique experience that I'm glad I'm like, I don't see myself drinking any alcohol between now and Monday, but, crazier things have happened and I'm kind of looking forward to that milestone, to be honest with you.
I'm pumped for you. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say that there's a cure for alcoholism, but it only works one day at a time.
Yeah.
You know, just don't drink today.
Yeah.
Just don't drink today.
Yep. And it's weird. It's weird to kind of go, I've never really admitted that what I was doing was being an alcoholic, because I never felt like I was an alcoholic. But I was, cause I would wake up the next morning, maybe it'd be slow, but not major hangovers. And I would go about my day, right? I would just be slow in the morning, slam coffee, and then you kind of come out of it in the mid morning and you go about your day and then you start it all over again. But that's exactly what that's the description of it. Right. So, and so I'm glad that we did what we did, man. It feels good. It feels good.
Yeah. How do you think your life would be different right now if you didn't stop?
The biggest one is the kids. We don't drink in the house anymore. We don't it's not a priority to us anymore. We used to sit on the couch and drink, and then our kids would see that. And then they would see that being the priority instead of them.
Yeah.
Right. And so now they don't see that of them. And I think that may have been replaced by phones a little bit, maybe.
Okay.
But at the same time, we're not making excuses. Like if they say, hey, let's go play some catch, or, you want to play a game with me, or you want to go on a drive or golf cart ride, whatever. Yeah. We're doing those things.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of saying, nah, I'm too tired, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
We're doing it. And so I think I hope, because our kids were seeing us at the end of the night during bedtime, maybe being tired, or maybe having like 3 beer cans stacked up and a empty glass of bourbon next to me on the end table.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that the biggest change is that the kids aren't seeing us like fall asleep on the couch or looking and saying, well, you don't need to have alcohol. You don't need to have it in these situations.
Right.
So
absolutely. It's also so it's cool that you're honest about you're probably on your phone more now, or it's kind of been replaced by the phone. And also you're once you've drank a beer or a glass of bourbon, you can't undrink it. And the effects are once you've had that glass of bourbon, now you are going to be under the effects of that glass of bourbon until it wears off. Yep. Whereas on your phone, if you're maybe you're zoning out on your phone and your kid's like, hey dad, want to go play catch? You can kind of snap out of being on your phone and be like, hell yeah, bud, let's go play catch. But if you've had 2 glasses of bourbon and your kid's like, hey, let's go play catch, you're not just snapping out of that. You can't undo it. You can't put down the effects of the alcohol you've already drank.
100%.
You can't put down your phone.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So I will say this though. Noticed how I said no alcohol. I've been alcohol free. However, I haven't been 100% sober in that time frame because not a lot. I don't do it a ton. I went a long period of time without it, but then I would take some THC gummies, right? So I'm trying to figure out if I want to get rid of that too. And I don't know why, I'm getting to a point now where you kind of realize, I'm on blood pressure medication. I'm 45 years old. I've been on blood pressure medication for 4 years now. I probably need to change my diet, a little bit more. I've lost almost 20 pounds from this knee surgery.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. Yeah. And so, a little bit before and during this process, and then, even throughout this past year, or this past 365 days, I've dabbled in some THC. And I'm saying to myself, well, and I don't really know how to put it. Like, I'm not sober, right? I know it's alcohol free. It's an
Yeah.
asterisk,
Yeah.
but I really haven't been, like, my wife, she hasn't done any of that stuff,
Yeah.
but because it's changing your biochemistry or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't do it. I did it right before bed to get some better sleep. That was my excuse for taking it.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting to myself going, like, I'll be alcohol free for 3 or 4 a full year on Monday, but does that even matter because I've been dabbling in THC as well? So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, and it's not like real THC. It's like the synthetic stuff that's with the gummies. But anyway, I'm having this internal debate. Like, does that count? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hear you. Yeah. And that's, you're going to have to decide for yourself.
Right.
I do think you can absolutely confidently say, I am sober of alcohol for the past year. I have not had any alcohol, because they're different. They're all different. I mean, because you can say, let's say that you stopped using THC, but you still drink coffee. Like, that's a substance.
Yeah.
It's just socially accepted.
Yeah. I'm not ready to let that one go quite yet.
Right. Saying, like, there are levels to it, and it still is something important that you have stopped consuming alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How much, before we get into the next topic, how much more time do we have today?
My first client's at 10 o'clock, so I've got 30 minutes. I'd like to have a few minutes to get a snack before that, but.
Okay. Yeah. We'll shut her down here in just a little bit. We'll definitely have some time here.
I'm good. I missed you, bud. It was good to talk to you.
Absolutely. So we got that kind of going on for us. Other than that, though, I can't remember when we launched our last episode, but I've also had an anniversary. So me and my wife have been married 14 years now, I believe it is.
Wow.
So, yeah, 13 years. 13 or anyway, that's husband math, right?
Yeah, right.
12, 13, 14 years,
Classic
something like
husband.
that. Exactly. Classic husband. Let me ask you this question. We both know, and I think anybody who listens to this understands, that marriage is not easy, right? It's not easy. It has its ups and downs, its ebbs and flows. Some months are good. Some months are just feel like, Jesus, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
What do you think the key to, and I don't want to say the key to marriage, because there's so many personality traits in there.
Yeah.
Because what's good for you may not be what's good for me. But as far as you, what are some things that have kept you and your wife together this long?
Yeah. For me, and I can't speak for her, I would actually like to ask her that question. Like, hey, what do you like about me? Why are you still with me? A thing that I've consciously done all along, especially in times of frustration, but I think all the time, is I try really hard to focus on the good. And I think one of the best things I can do is protect my baseline. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't want to delve into, like, negative thoughts about her and irritated thoughts and start focusing on what I don't like and what she's doing wrong and stuff. Like, I actually want to, like, really, really hardcore fight for my positive perception of her and protect that.
Yeah.
And so, I do get annoyed and irritated and frustrated, and it's a lot of the classic stuff, like, oh, you don't load the dishwasher right, and why is this a mess, and blah blah blah, like all those things. But I've struggled like everybody else does, like anybody would, with somebody that you live with and share your life with, about getting irritated about things and being upset and, oh, I wish this were different, and I wish this were like this. And I always come back to, Kyle, you chose her and you want this to work. And so
Yeah.
since I want this to work, and I really do want this to work, I will humble myself in such a way that's like, dude, let that go in service of having a good relationship. And that doesn't mean that I don't speak up for my wants and needs, because I do, but the one thing I can't, there's lots of things I can't let myself do. One thing I can't let myself do is develop a negative perception of her and then keep it.
Yeah.
That's going to be really bad. To me, that's going to be poison
Yeah.
forever. And I can't do it. Cause like, I do think it's kind of the nature of things. Even like, I have friends that I've had since kindergarten. I think if I spent too much time with them, I would get irritated with them.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with them. I love them to death. I think it's kind of the nature of sharing your life with somebody, is you end up getting irritated, and then we can take things personally, and we can think like, man, they're not meeting my needs, and all these things. And we might have a point, but also I really think that negativity can just be poison. So I think it's, for me, I really guard my perception of my wife, and I can notice irritations,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to go too deep into it.
Yeah.
Because if I do, then I can start to resent her, and then I'll pull away a little bit and be a little cold, and
Yeah.
then that sucks. And like, I don't need my marriage to like die from within. I don't need that. Like, I have to keep it. I have to keep it alive and well, and that's me being responsible for my thoughts, and not just letting my thoughts go wherever they happen to go. So if I'll catch myself being negative sometimes, and I'll be like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, that's not worth it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That resentment buzzword, that's a big one, dude. That one is the poison in a marriage, right? You start getting into, well, you're not providing me this. Well, you're not providing me this. Well, you're not doing this. Well, you're not doing this. And what happens is that one little negative thing takes up so much space in your head. It is clouding all the other good things about that person.
Yeah.
Right. And so like, I'll be completely honest, man. Over the course of the last month, I've had to have a sit down with my wife, and we had to talk some shit out. Like, like, I feel this, I know you feel this, and like have some really uncomfortable situations. Or conversations. But if you don't do that, the opposite of that scenario is the poisonous, like toxic, like pool of mud that just kind of grows, and it continues to grow, and it continues to grow until the straw that breaks the camel's back, like the dishwasher being packed incorrectly causes a divorce. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So it's crazy. Like, I think obviously all the buzzwords, like communication, that's a big one.
Yeah.
But for me, I've had to learn to not necessarily ignore her at certain times, but just let her go. She's mad and she's venting and going to do something. I just let her go. And then I don't step in and try to do anything. I just let it go. The flare up happens. And then you just kind of get back to your regularly scheduled programming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I've had to kind of learn, is sometimes people just need to vent. And it may not be directed at you. It may feel like it's directed at you, but it probably could be directed at their job or, any other stressors that, people are going through. So yeah, dude, it's a work in progress is what it always is.
Oh yeah, totally. I will sometimes reflect on, like old folks that I've seen across the years, like old guys who are just like unrattled.
Yeah.
They're unflappable. And if their wife's pissed about something, it's just like water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
Like, she'll be fine. Let her go. That sort of thing, which is basically, like, I think that aligns with my values, as long as I know that I'm not being a piece of shit. Like, if If I did something wrong and she's pissed, then I should take ownership of that. But
Yeah.
if I think I'm fine and she's pissed, hey,
Yeah.
let her be pissed, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I don't need to jump in and save it and whatnot.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is picking your own battles too, where is this thing really worth getting mad about?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Maybe it's I'm the kind of person who wants a perfect household all the time. Like, and I don't mean like perfectly clean. I'm talking about like harmony, like the household to be in harmony where there's no arguing. And I've just found that is not how our family operates.
Yeah.
Right. And whether it's the relationship between me and my wife or me and the kids or the kids and my wife and things like that. You just, at some point I don't want to say take the L, take the loss, but it's almost like that where you're just like, I got it. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Like that's not a priority in my life, but I'm going to make it a priority because I love you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this thing that I don't want to do it, but guess what? You do. So I want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, to help you out.
I agree. I think that's humble. I think that's, you've heard the expression for the greater good. It's like, I'll do that thing for the greater good. Is it what I want? No.
Yeah.
Will I do it? Yeah. And if I'm going to do it, then I may as well not do it with a shitty attitude. I may as well like try to make the best of it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A thing I also try to keep in mind is like, is this their personality or is this their biology? Like, why are they in a bad mood right now?
Yeah.
And I guess I'm fortunate enough that I think most of the time when my wife's in a bad mood, there's something biological going on. You know, whether it's she's got a thyroid issue, which, hyper versus hypo, like can make her feel two different ways. She can be really tired or she can be really anxious. Or if it's her time of the month, then she's not in a good mood. If she's like really tired and stressed and has a lot on her mind, then it affects her mood just like anybody else. Like those things affect me too, with the things that can affect me biologically. So I do try to separate and give her grace. Like if I can notice she's in a bad mood, I try hard to not attribute that to her personality. And so then that helps me give her more grace and like almost pity her isn't the right word, but like feel bad for her, like, oh, you must be miserable if you're in that bad of a mood.
Yeah.
So then I'll treat her a little nicer.
Yeah.
I don't have to get on board. If she's mad at me for this or that, I don't have to actually agree with her.
Yeah.
Again, because I try to separate myself and like I'll take responsibility if I really think that it's mine to take responsibility of. But I can also recognize when somebody else is just cranky.
Yeah.
And I don't have to take that on and pretend like or assume that I did something wrong when I know I didn't. So I'll just give that person more grace.
Yeah. Because there is a time where you do have to stand up for yourself, because if you let someone walk over you, they will get used to walking all over you.
That's very true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to put your foot down and be like, dude, I'm not dealing with this shit today. So,
I agree. You got to clear the air. Can I ask, like, you don't have to tell me like the details of the conversation, but like how did it go? And did you feel like you two cleared the air or came to some sort of resolution? And again, you don't have to give intimate details of all of that.
No, I think it's important to, I think it did. Right. I think I heard some things that were concerning, and I said some things that I needed to say. And then I took what I heard that I felt concerning, and I said it out loud back to her in a way that potentially made her understand, like, I don't know. So I'll just give an example, and I have to give the example in order to kind of express how this is.
Okay.
Dude, I don't know how, like, I know how to build a deck. I know how to change a toilet. But that's about it. Like, I'm not a carpenter. I'm not a guy who can go in and remodel a house. Like, I have limitations, right?
Yeah.
And so one thing my wife said to me was, I guess I'm just used to having a man in the house, like she was referencing her dad, who can fix everything and do everything and do all of this stuff. And I said that to her. I repeated it back to her in a way. I go, okay, I get that. And so that caused her resentment to me because those things weren't getting done by me.
Yeah.
Number one, I didn't even know they were a priority. And number two, I didn't know that they were a priority to her.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's weaponizing something, right? Like, what if I said to you, to get something that I wanted, I said, well, I guess I'm just used to this person, and then filling in the blank with whatever I'm trying to accomplish, right? It's like, I'm not that person. I'm not that person. I've never been that person. You married me knowing that I'm not that person. Right. So what has changed about me in the last 14 years that's been like this? So, you know what I mean? I'm just like, so I think I had to say some things out loud and then say things in a certain way to where it's just like, just maybe what you're doing is not fair to me. Or maybe what are some, and I just had to ask some of the blunt questions, like, what is it that is frustrating? Like, in a given day, what is it that frustrates you the most? What is it that I can help fix or address on a given day to take this stress off of you that you're so frustrated with? And so just asking very black and white questions, and then talking about something. And then if there was a distracted comment, and I call this the Kyle move now, where I say things like, I'm sorry you feel that way about this, and we can talk about that when we're done with this topic, but I want to stay on this topic right now. Right. And so just really hyper focus on the conversation. I had a list of things like, what I did is I went online and I Googled, like, what are some things that causes marriage to fail? And it was resentment, it was lack of communication, and it was unmet expectations. And so I sat down and I go, what are your expectations of me? Like, what do you feel I should be doing in the course of a day or a month? Right. And then, trying to be like, okay, whether I can or cannot do those things. Right. And then maybe just talking out some of these scenarios. And I think it was good because I heard her tell me things that some of them were good, some of them were bad, that I needed to hear in order for me to move forward on how to address some of those frustration points in her life.
Great.
So I think it was a net positive.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I really appreciate that we are having this conversation on a podcast, recording it. I think this is really helpful and important for other guys to hear.
Absolutely.
This is the nitty gritty of what happens in relationships and marriage. And like, here we're hearing a macho, manly man, hunter, business owner, all these things, like, talk about, hey, like, I care about my relationship with my wife, and I did research to find out what are the things that go wrong in relationships. And then I had to purposefully have a really hard sit down with my wife. And I just want to zoom out and normalize that, dude. I bet there's thousands and thousands and millions of guys and women in this, in a really similar situation. And I just appreciate that we can have this really straightforward and transparent conversation to normalize. You might have to have a hard and direct conversation with your spouse, and you're not a piece of shit for that, and you're not weak for it, and it can be very constructive, and you can also be open to feedback about what she might say about you, and it's not all about you ripping into her. And your wife's awesome. Like, I know her. I'm friends with her. She's great. And so I think it's important to recognize that we can talk about things that aren't going perfectly smoothly in our relationships without villainizing the other person.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You always speak about her respectfully. Even like you and I are friends, and we've talked outside of the podcast and whatnot. you never speak disrespectfully about your wife ever. And I really appreciate that. That's a thing that I respect about you. And so I really, again, think that these types of conversations are really cool and important to have for other guys to be able to sit and listen to and be like, oh, okay, this is normal. This can be done. I can have a hard conversation with my wife. Other people, things aren't perfect behind closed doors for other families either.
Right.
All right, I can gear up and have a conversation. I think it's awesome. So thank you for being transparent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say to myself, like, if somebody said something bad about my wife in a public place or out loud to her face, I'd fucking hit him. Right. So why would I ever want to say that? I don't want to be that guy. Right. And so I need to talk about what I want. Like, and I need to talk about what is going to help. I think a lot of times in this world we live in, the partners creep apart, the kids become priority, the job becomes priority, and the foundation of the family cracks because we're putting other things first. And that's an example of kind of what's going on in our relationship is I don't think we're spending enough time with each other. I don't think we're focusing on each other enough. And then that gap, tends to widen for a lot of people. Yeah. And I think we need to get back to like, put down the phones, hold your partner's hand or go on a walk with them, ask them how their day was, ask them what their frustrations in life are. How can I make your day better? And things like that. And get back to the heart of the relationship. Right. And so
like that. Nurture the friendship.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't even know, like, I'll say this. I don't like the term friendship. And here's why. If I want a friendship, I'll go get a friend or I'll go hang out with my buddy. Right. I didn't marry her for a friend. I married her because I want her to be my wife.
Right.
Right. And so I don't know why this bugs me so much. Like when someone says, you're my best friend, or like, I love you so much. You're my best friend. That's okay. But I hold a wife and a husband above a friendship.
Yeah.
Right. Like I've watched a baby come out of my wife. Right. Yeah. I've been there when my wife is having her right. Like I've been there when my wife has been having her worst days and a friend was not there to help her. I was. Yeah. Right. And my worst days too. Right. Yeah. Where I needed a trip to the ER or I needed someone to really pick up and help. And she's been there. Right. Yeah. And so I don't want a friend. I want a wife. And to me, that means something far greater than a friendship. Can we be friends? That's fine. Let's act like friends. But I'm not trying to have sex with my friend either. Right. You know what I mean? Like on the real there, like I don't want to be intimate on that level. I want to be emotionally and physically intimate with my wife. I want to have a deeper connection than I would with my friend. Right. And that's what I think a husband or a wife should be, a deeper connection than just a friendship.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair.
So, and that's my perspective on that.
Oh, no, that makes a ton of sense. I think maybe it's kind of semantics, but I think really all I was getting at was like, having fun with your partner.
Exactly. 100%. And that's very important. So there's that, my friend.
Good. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for that update. I think it's nice when we can have moments like that. Cause I think, anytime I've heard, like if I'm ever struggling with something and I hear somebody lay something out in a really raw and truthful way, it's always been helpful to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Kyle, you got to get somewhere. I got to get somewhere. This has been a great conversation. I'm so glad that we've been able to get back on the horse. Hopefully next week is the same.
Yep.
And Good. And other than that, if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify or iTunes, wherever you download or listen to the Man Therapy podcast, subscribe to it. Give us a 5-star review. Let everybody know that these are helpful conversations. Also, we put this stuff on YouTube as well. So go check that out. Good vibes, everybody. Kyle, good vibes to you and your family. And we'll talk to you next week.